Breaking news from Calabasas, California. NBA legend Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter crash just before 10 a.m. Pacific time. At least 4 other people were in the helicopter. None on board survived. It was believed Bryant was heading to Staples Center in his personal helicopter when it crashed. Kobe Bryant played his entire 20-year career with the Los Angeles Lakers, winning 5 NBA championships. As an all-time great, Bryant, an 18-time All-Star, a 15-time member of the All-NBA team, and he won the league's most valuable player in 2008. Kobe Bryant also a 2-time Olympic gold medalist as part of USA men's basketball in 2008 and 2012. Kobe also earned an Oscar for Best Animated Short. Kobe Bryant was 41 years old. Breaking news from Calabasas, California. Kobe Bryant apparently has perished in a helicopter accident at 41 years old. He's Joe Musso. I'm Eric Casilius. Let's bring in CBS Sports NBA writer Bill Ryder. Bill, shocking and sad news today regarding Kobe Bryant and a helicopter crash. What are your thoughts and what have you heard about what's going on right now?
Yeah, still, Eric, I think like everyone in Los Angeles and across the country trying to process the shock. The first thought is that Kobe Bryant, one of the great careers we've ever seen, one of the great dynamic personalities I've ever had the pleasure to cover, so much larger than life, hard to believe that we've lost him so young at the age of 41. And obviously over the last hour or so in the course of trying to text NBA sources and folks that Lakers organization, it has gone from, in the terms of the folks getting back to me, uncertainty to absolute sadness. And again, shock that Kobe Bryant is no longer walking among us. And obviously if it's an irony or if it's just the universe being extra cruel, the fact that LeBron James passed Kobe Bryant yesterday on that scoring list and the back and forth of respect between those two guys and just the remembrances of everything that Kobe Bryant did in his career with LeBron James passing him on that mark makes today particularly difficult and particularly bizarre as we come to grips with the news.
Yeah, Kobe sending out that congratulatory tweet to LeBron no more than 16 hours ago. Really raw emotions right now, as you said. Putting this into a Los Angeles-centric perspective, has there ever been a more beloved athlete by the city of Los Angeles, and how will Los Angeles remember Kobe Bryant, the great Laker, the greatest Laker?
Yeah, that's a great question, and there has never been a figure as beloved as Kobe Bryant in this city. It's not even close, and I'm not even going to make possible comparisons to other cities and other athletes throughout the years who had this kind of a connection. I can remember when I moved to LA 6-7 years ago, going into a DMV to get my California driver's license, and literally there were so many Kobe Bryant posters on the wall. It was so decked in purple and gold, and the purple and gold of Kobe Bryant, that I turned and walked out of the building. I thought I'd walked into some kind of Lakers office somewhere. This is a city where even long after his retirement, Kobe Bryant dominated the conversation and people's imaginations on my street, when I would pick up my kids, when you would grab a coffee, when you would be at a Dodgers game or certainly a Lakers game. He defined more than basketball in Los Angeles, and this is going to be, and I could show you 150 text messages from friends around Los Angeles, a traumatic experience for the city of Los Angeles, not just today, not just a week from now. It's going to define this city, I think, for the rest of our lives.
Now let's expand it out to the NBA. What did Kobe Bryant mean to the league coming in sort of as part of that post-Jordan group?
Yeah, I mean, he was such an interesting figure on so many levels. He was the first guy, really, with respect to some other superstars, to attain a similar level of greatness post-Jordan. And one of the ironies was, it was as, in a lot of ways, a Michael Jordan imitator, or someone who played the way that Michael played the game. But Kobe was also somewhat of an anomaly. Did not come up in AAU basketball, did not come up in some of the high school scenes because he lived abroad for a good chunk of his life, like some other guys. And so in a lot of ways, early in his career, at times like later in his career, he was somewhat of a loner. And so the lone wolf idea of the NBA player, this notion of being the guy that you could place all the weight and burden of championship hopes and greatness on those shoulders, and he would carry you. This idea of a one superstar-led league and team Kobe Bryant was that thing, maybe at that level of greatness for the very last time before the game changed and ball movement and ISO shooting. Kobe Bryant defined an entire era and was the bridge between Michael Jordan and what he represented for the game and where we're at today with three-point shooting and ball movement and a different style of play.
We are sure to see an outpouring of love and respect towards Kobe Bryant out of the association. But as we look at the slate tonight, 6 evening games, have you received any indication that tonight's games will or won't go on as planned?
I have not. I have no idea where the NBA is at in that thinking. As you would imagine, both the Lakers and the NBA are radio silent right now, as I'm sure they process and they mourn, and unlike the rest of us, have to figure out what to do in real time as it relates to the league. Though certainly, as we can see on social media, there has been a huge outpouring of support for the idea of suspending tonight's games. And again, I have no notion of where the NBA is going, but it wouldn't surprise me if they strongly consider and even go that route, because as we all know, Kobe Bryant, one of the great and most important players in the history of the game, and his untimely death, the fact we've lost him so early, it's certainly going to call into question how long the NBA wants to create a period of mourning for fans.
This is a player who was exceptionally gifted and really excelled in the NBA. Do you have a favorite Kobe moment or anecdote? I'll tell you what mine is the fact that when he got drafted, he was 17 and had to have a co-signer. His parents had to co-sign his rookie contract because he wasn't old enough to actually sign his own rookie contract. He was that gifted, that young. Do you have a memory of Kobe Bryant?
I do, and Eric, we can bookend, his career with two memories. I had, and this hit me sort of full force, the magic and the blessing of being able to be at this experience today with the news. I was at Kobe Bryant's final game at Staples Center when he cracked that 60-point barrier in that last game with a lot of shots. And as mesmerizing as that was, as magical as it was to see Kobe go out in that fashion, what struck me was walking into that large room where the media usually gathers for NBA Finals, but they'd broken it out because it was Kobe's final game. And Kobe Bryant, in my memory, it was 3 hours. It was probably 40 minutes or an hour. Had all of us media, who can be a little, we can be a little difficult, eating out of the palm of his hands. We were laughing. He controlled the room, that charm, that hunger. It was vintage Kobe Bryant. It was like every moment covering him over the years at finals and various games condensed into this one evening. And when he walked off that podium, you felt lucky to be there. You felt lucky to have experienced a little bit of that greatness. And for me, it's one of the highlights of my career getting to cover that. And now, obviously, with the news, I'm struck by how fortunate I was to be there.
Countless indelible images out of the career of Kobe Bryant, but as of late, we've started to see images of Kobe Bryant, the father, coming out on social media, and the moments he shared with his daughters, showing them the game courtside and some of those things that we've seen over the past couple months. Give us an idea of who Kobe Bryant, the father, was.
Yeah, I mean, he was, like all the most interesting people in the world, a very nuanced and complicated individual. And as much as he would eat your heart out on the basketball floor and go after you, he was incredibly tender as a father. In fact, there was a moment a few weeks ago, I was at a Lakers game, and Kobe Bryant walked up behind Dwight Howard when Dwight was warming up and slapped him as hard as he could on the back of the head. And Dwight Howard flipped around in anger, saw Kobe and laughed, and it was the edge of Kobe. And then Kobe took the hand of the person next to him. It was his oldest daughter, and walked her to the very center of that court to take their seats, and a standing ovation rained down for Kobe. He stood up and he waved, and I was close enough. You could see it on the big screen too. You could see the pride that his daughter had, and he went down and gave her a hug afterwards. And it was just this interesting reminder that Kobe Bryant, kiddingly, right, jokingly slapping Dwight Howard, but little mental edge, and in the next moment sharing this powerful experience with his daughter. And we've seen the reports and we know the reality of Kobe the coach with his daughter and Kobe the father. It was a huge part of his life in a lot of ways. I think it allowed those of us that just saw him through the prism of a player to remember there were a lot of dimensions to Kobe Bryant that did not involve him trying to destroy the competition in front of him. He was by all accounts, and I won't pretend to have known Kobe Bryant at that level, but talking to people who did know him here in LA in that Lakers organization, as good and loving a father as he was a competitor on the floor.
We've had our chance to ask questions in this difficult time. The last word will be yours based upon this tragic news and Kobe Bryant as one of the sort of respected members of the NBA community regarding Kobe Bryant. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Kobe Bryant was a lesson in the ability of willpower, in hard work, in its ability to raise you up to your highest level. But the final memory for me, for Kobe Bryant in the final equation, and unfortunately the final lesson will be when I'm done working today, whenever I get home to my kids, I'm going to walk and give them a hug and tell them I love them and text the people that I love, because Kobe Bryant's greatness is forever. And now, unfortunately, so is the reminder that life can be fleeting, and we just don't know how long we have. And, you know, hold the people you love a little closer, tell them you love them, and enjoy those days while you have them.
Hear, hear. Well said. Thank you so much for the time and the reflections, Bill. That's Bill Ryder, CBS Sports NBA writer. And with the breaking news from Calabasas, California, NBA legend Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter crash just before 10 a.m. Pacific time. At least 4 other people were in the helicopter. None on board survived. It was believed Bryant was going to Staples Center, that this was his personal helicopter, and that it has crashed. He played in his entire 20-year career with the Los Angeles Lakers. He won 5 championships. He was an 18-time All-Star, 15-time member of the All-NBA team, and he won the MVP in 2008. Kobe Bryant was 41.
Back on HQ with some devastating news. Kobe Bryant, the legendary Laker, dead at the age of 41 in an apparent helicopter crash. An outpouring of love coming in from the sporting world. Wayne Gretzky tweeting, "Janet and I have no words to describe our shock and sadness on the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant today, praying for him and his family." Joel Embiid weighing in as well. "Man, I don't even know where to start. I started playing ball because of Kobe after watching the 2010 finals. I had never watched ball before, and that finals was the turning point of my life. I wanted to be like Kobe. I'm so freaking sad right now. R.I.P. legend." Tom Brady, a contemporary. "We miss you already, Kobe. Simply put, and on the nose." Usain Bolt weighing in as well, tweeting, "Still can't believe," at Kobe Bryant, with a picture of Kobe and Usain Bolt sharing a moment at what appears to be an Olympics. And Ja Morant as well. "You with me tonight, my guy. 24 times 12, Kobe Bryant." With that, we welcome in Tim Doyle to offer his thoughts. Tim, obviously devastating news coming down with the passing of Kobe Bryant. Hard to process, but as you do process this news, what are the first ideas that come to mind when you think of Kobe?
You know, I think you're going to remember where you were. You know, and growing up in New York, I know where I was during 9/11. And from a sports standpoint, I know where I was when Magic announced that he was no longer going to be playing for the Lakers because of the HIV virus. Like, I know exactly where I was. And, you know, hearing this today at my daughter's 3rd birthday party, I'm just like in total disbelief. And it being a Sunday and me being Catholic, I had gone to church today. And I took away from what the priest said that just don't know where your time is going to be up. And, you know, I glanced at my family and walked out of church and didn't think anything of it. And then literally an hour or 2 later, you have a moment like this. And it's just really puts in perspective what's important. And, you know, I grew up on the East Coast, but was familiar with Kobe from the 2001 ABCD camp where he came and spoke when I was with LeBron and Lenny Cook. And obviously he was one of the great players in the history of basketball. But now as a dad and a father of 2, just feel absolutely awful for his family, his extended family, and just what a horrible, horrible day.
Obviously, there's the public Kobe Bryant and the private Kobe Bryant. Most of us know him through the public persona of his profession as an NBA player and the fact that he becomes somebody that you and fans idolized in the NBA. What did Kobe Bryant mean to the NBA if we talk about public Kobe Bryant?
I think he's the last of the Mohicans, Eric. Meaning, he didn't get along with everybody. He was okay with not being loved. You know, he was right before the Twitter, Instagram era, which he has now embraced. And, you know, I saw his tweet to LeBron after LeBron passed him up, and he was at 13 million followers. But he was a little bit before that era, and he was okay that when he was in between the lines, if the other 5 guys or 13 guys in that roster hated him, he liked that. And I remember growing up, and being like, he kind of rubs me the wrong way. He's kind of arrogant. But no matter what you thought of him, you always respected him as an athlete. And I remember writing papers on what he went through in 2003 when I was at Northwestern about his experiences in Colorado, and that was a tumultuous time in his career and what people perceived him as off the floor. But he was always one of those guys that was so self-confident that it rubbed off as arrogance, but there was a respect level he had for him because he wanted to win no matter what. And I just feel like that's the last of the Mohicans. When I look at Steph Curry, or Kevin Durant, or Harden, I don't see that instinct that Kobe's going to be known for forever, that he wanted to win so badly that he chased Shaq out of town. After winning 3 championships, they couldn't coexist together. And I think what cements him as one of the all-time greats in the NBA is when he won 2 more championships without Shaq to kind of prove, that he could do it without, one of the greats of all time as well. So that's what I'm going to remember. And maybe that's a little crass to talk like that, but a lot of people did not like him when he played, and he was okay with that because he was such a fierce competitor. All that mattered to him was going out there and being the best and winning.
Few have taken the court with the same sort of passion and competitiveness that Kobe Bryant did. You mentioned your experiences coming up at that ABCD camp. As a player growing up, watching Kobe Bryant and the competitiveness and the confidence that he took the court with, what did he mean to you as a young man trying to calculate his game?
I had a very awkward moment with Kobe, and it was at the 2001 ABCD camp. And at that camp, Lenny Cook, who you may have never heard of, was the guy. And there was this other guy, LeBron James, who was below the radar. Anyway, LeBron has this great camp, and he really got his name because he outplayed Lenny Cook. But I was sitting right behind it, Lenny Cook, and he turned to Kobe Bryant and he said, "I could beat you one-on-one." And the look that came over Kobe's face was one of those that you were like, and he just told me, he goes, "No, you can't. And if you want to go out there right now, we can go play right now." And I was like, whoa, this just escalated. And that's just how competitive he was. That was my only small interaction. I never got to the big stage, the grand stage of the NBA, but I kind of ran in those circles. And even in that moment, Joe, you were like, oh, this all of a sudden got real serious. He was just such a fierce competitor, and I think that's missing from the game. And his dad was an NBA player, and he did have that throwback mentality that I don't think we're going to see anymore in sports. And it's really because the money has gotten so out of hand, and building your brand has gotten so out of hand, and making fake Twitter accounts to respond to trolls has gotten so out of hand. So that's why I think he's one of the last guys that laid it all on the line. And he would have played for free because that's how much he had a love for basketball and obviously a love for his family. And this is just a day as a sports fan you'll never forget where you were.
What is the basketball image or moment that comes to mind first when you think of Kobe Bryant, Tim?
That's a great question because for me, I think the climax basketball-wise was the alley-oop to Shaq. And that was a game they were losing to the Trailblazers, and it was like, oh, here we go again. Like, Lakers aren't going to get over the hump. Like, these two great talents can't play well together. Have around a comeback, the alley-oop, Kobe to Shaq. Shaq runs on the floor, and then they were able to figure it out, and it was awesome. I mean, they ran the NBA. It was literally a joke. They won 3 straight championships, and then, they start butting heads off the floor. But if I had to think of one single play, I'm not going to think of the 81. I'm not going to think of the Carnival game where they let him shoot his last game of his career. For me, it was about winning and the competitor that he was. It was just, it's one of those things where it's impossible to process. But his fire is something I don't think we'll see the rest of our sports lifetimes just because the world of sports has changed so much.
That fire truly reigniting a franchise, bringing them back to prominence, offering nothing but championships and indelible moments. And as EK so eloquently put it, he was the bridge from Jordan to LeBron in many people's eyes. And he just so beloved by the city of L.A., TD. Is there a more beloved athlete by a given city? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but the way L.A. loved Kobe, truly hard to put into words.
Well, because he was a Laker for life. I think the conversation, and, it's an unfair debate to get into, right, would be between him and Magic. And that was kind of the moment that I had today. And even though I was a very young child, then I know exactly where I was, sitting in my grandparents' apartment in Astoria, Queens. When Magic's no longer going to play in the NBA, it was like, huh? What? And at that time, we didn't understand, right, HIV, what the AIDS virus was. And he takes the podium, and that just sent shockwaves through the world. As this happened today, that was the exact moment that I have. So it's horribly ironic that's what you think of. At least that was the first thought I thought of. And then you have two guys that wore the Lakers uniform. So many of the Lakers were transplants. Wilt didn't start there. Kareem didn't start there. Shaq didn't start there. Kobe was start to finish. Magic start to finish. And you can't say that about a ton of other, even the Dodgers. They didn't start there. They started in Brooklyn. Like, Kobe started there, and he finished there, and that was important to him, even though there was some rough patches where he asked for a trade, towards the struggles of winning 3 championships and then the Lakers franchise going into a downward spiral there. He did want out, but he stuck it out. It's just crazy to think those are the two moments, or at least that was the Magic moment I had today, just utter disbelief and sadness for Kobe and his family.
Tim, thank you very much. We appreciate your reflections.
Thanks, guys.
There's Tim Doyle, CBS Sports basketball analyst. He was a great high school player and one of those guys that got to go to those camps with other great players, and Kobe came in and spoke to them, and that was his personal connection when he had a chance to meet Kobe. As far as the NBA is concerned, and we keep passing along information as it's coming in, the Rockets and the Denver Nuggets in Denver decided to play the game. They took a moment of silence, but they are going to go forward and play the game, and they paid their respects to Kobe before tip-off.
The 6 o'clock slate still up in the air. We will keep you up to date on that news. But now we welcome in CBS writer James Herbert. James, thank you for the time in the wake of just truly devastating news with the passing of Kobe Bryant at the age of 41 in a helicopter crash. When that news comes across your alerts, what comes to mind?
Oh, I mean, it's just stunning. It was really a surreal moment, I think, for anybody, not just for people who cover the NBA and follow the NBA closely, because anyone who is even sort of like a casual basketball fan. I mean, look, I was born in 1986. I was 10 years old when Kobe Bryant was a rookie in the NBA, and for all of my sort of adult basketball life, he has been a part of it, whether he was on the court or whether even now in retirement, he's still a very visible presence. And for me personally, you hardly go a week covering the league, talking to players, talking to NBA personnel where his name doesn't come up in some variety. You never think of this. You never think that at 41 that you would be talking about something like this. It is obviously tragic. It is obviously devastating. It's obviously something that everybody around the basketball world, the sports world now, is kind of trying to reckon with and contextualize. And it's difficult for me to do that right now.
To follow up on something you said in terms of it's hard to have an NBA conversation for a long time before his name will inevitably come up. What do the current NBA guys, and the current athlete gets a lot of flack for not knowing the history of their own sport, but it seems like they all know Kobe. When they talk of Kobe now, when you're covering the league, what had been said about Kobe this year, last year, the year before, after he retired?
Yeah, I mean, even last week, I'm doing interviews for various stories, and I'm talking to Spencer Dinwiddie, a Los Angeles guy who is probably going to have a lot of trouble trying to play a game at 6 o'clock this evening, who grew up in Kobe Bryant was his favorite player, and he's somebody who over the years when talking about his approach to getting over a serious surgery, or his approach to just getting up at 5 a.m. and doing these difficult workouts in the summer, he would think about Kobe Bryant. He wanted to have that kind of mentality. I covered 2 Lakers games this week when they were in New York, and I'm asking Jared Dudley questions about Kyle Kuzma, and he brings up Kuzma's scoring mentality and how confident he is, even when the shots aren't going down. The last few, he has that sort of Mamba mentality. He used those words, and it's become almost a cliche to talk about a Mamba mentality. But around the NBA, players revere obviously his moves, the way that he worked on his craft and was able to improve his game throughout his career, and always have answers and find ways to make up later in his career when his athleticism started to dwindle. He changed his game. Players looked up to that part. I think a lot of these guys, especially guys from the California area, grew up imitating Kobe Bryant in the playground and wanting to be like him. But I think beyond that, the players, the modern day players, grown up watching interviews with Kobe Bryant, reading articles about Kobe Bryant, maybe reading books about Kobe Bryant and his mentality, his competitiveness, his approach to the sport, and the way that they talk about him. I don't think like the word idol is a stretch for even young guys who haven't had the opportunity to like directly learn from him or play with him. Like, that's one thing. There are a lot of former teammates who speak about him reverently, but I think it goes far beyond that. Like, people look to him in terms of the way that he played, but also just that kind of competitive spirit, that competitive fire, that intensity that we saw manifest itself on the court in so many ways over the years.
James, thank you so much for the reflections. We appreciate the time and the thoughts.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you know Kobe Bryant was a great NBA player, and you see where he ranks among Lakers. There are just some interesting things with Kobe. We mentioned drafted at 17, was not old enough to sign his rookie contract on his own, had to have a co-signer. His parents had to co-sign his rookie contract because he wasn't 18 yet. He was the first guard ever drafted out of high school. All the other guys right from high school to pros, it had been thought that only kind of big men could do that, centers, that guards weren't really ever going to be ready. And he clearly proved that wrong in an NBA career that spanned 20 seasons, all with the Lakers. Kobe Bryant, an all-time great. Unfortunately, though, sad news today, Kobe Bryant dies at 41.